Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art within Redstone. I'm your host, OmLedu. Recently, I made a storage system guide on how to link all of the different types of item sorters together, including things such as Shulker loaders and unloaders. So I wanted to continue with that idea and go over a few tutorials on how to make like Shulker loaders, unloaders, and multi-item sorters. So for this video, we're going to go over a super simple automatic Shulker unloader. Now, I would be amiss if I didn't mention that you can make a super simple Shulker unloader simply by using hoppers. I usually make the wall out of a material that is hard to mine with your pickaxe, such as obsidian or nether wart. That is just so I don't accidentally break the wall when I'm breaking out the Shulker boxes. However, this super easy Shulker unloader will allow you to just throw multiple Shulkers into a chest, and it will automatically start and automatically unload all of the Shulker boxes that you put in. So if you're unloading, tons and tons and tons of Shulker boxes, this might be more space efficient than having a line of hoppers for you to manually place the Shulkers onto. And this design is totally tileable and super cheap. Here are all the materials that you will need to build it. You will actually need a trapped chest. This is just to have an automated start feature so that you don't have to press a button in order to start the unloading. And some amount of hoppers and chest depending on where you want the items to go after they've been unloaded. But everything in the bottom row is in exact quantities except for the blocks. You will just need, a handful of blocks. And as for the build area, it is going to be 6 deep and 5 tall, and then of course 1 wide because this is tileable. Now as for your output, you can either send all of the items into a chest, or more than likely you're going to be sending the items off to a sorter system of some kind. So it really just depends on where you want the items to go. Maybe you want them to go over to a dropper elevator in order to lift the items up into your storage system. So really just keep in mind where you're wanting the items to go when it comes to your output. But for this tutorial, we're just going to use a chest just to keep it nice and simple. But we're going to start off by placing a chest or temporary blocks in the very front so that we can place in our hoppers. And again, if you're running the hoppers off to a storage system of some kind, you can just place temporary blocks and then run the hoppers off. You will just need 2 hoppers in the very front of the machine, 1 block above the ground. Next up, place a solid block 1 block away from the back with a repeater on top of it that is facing the front. Then we're going to build 2 observers right next to that repeater, both of which that need to be facing the back of the machine, and you will need a temporary block in order to place the backmost observer. And then in the space between the hopper and observer, we need to place a solid block, and then a piston on top of that solid block facing the front of the machine, like so. Then we need to go up here and face the back of the machine so that we can place a comparator next to that piston in this orientation. Then we're going to place a solid block coming out of that comparator above that repeater, and then we're going to place a sticky piston facing down, holding that backmost observer. And now we need to grab our redstone torch and place it on top of the sticky piston with an observer facing that torch. Then we need a redstone lamp next to that observer, and then another observer looking at that redstone lamp, like so. Now we need to grab our dispenser that will dispense our Shulker boxes and place it next to that observer facing down. Now we need a hopper going into the side of that dispenser, like so, and then we're going to grab our trapped chest and place that on top of here. It needs to be a trapped chest in order to start the machine automatically. But then we're going to place a redstone repeater next to the trapped chest on top of the observer on maximum delay, and then 1 piece of redstone dust on the lamp, and you're done. This will now, unload your Shulker boxes. But when throwing Shulkers in here, just be sure not to throw empty Shulker boxes in here. It's not like a huge deal, but if it dispenses an empty Shulker box, it won't actually ever trigger the breaking mechanic. So just try to avoid putting empty Shulker boxes into the system. Another nice thing about using a trapped chest is it will not drain the items until you close the chest. So if you accidentally throw items that aren't supposed to go in there, you won't have to fish them out. You can just simply take them out of the chest before you close it. And now the machine will automatically start unloading any Shulker boxes that you put in the trapped chest. But now let's talk about how this works. So when you open a trapped chest, it will emit a redstone signal, which will turn on that repeater, which will turn on that lamp, and it will also lock the hopper that is under the chest. Then when the chest closes, it will turn off the lamp, which will trigger the observer to activate the dispenser to dispense a Shulker box. Then this comparator can see the contents of the Shulker box through the piston, And it will activate this backmost piston when there's any items in the shulker. Then once the shulker is completely empty, it will depower it, and so then this observer, when it gets depowered, will trigger this observer to then break that shulker box with this piston. Then this torch will also turn back on when the comparator loses its signal, which will then trigger the observers and the lamps to dispense another shulker box. Super fancy stuff. But if you have any questions, simply let me know in the comments, and as always, I will do my best to answer them. But like I mentioned earlier, this machine is also totally tileable, so let's go over that really quick. You can build as many of these next to each other as you would like, so if you would like to unload, tons and tons and tons of shulker box at double speed or triple speed, you can just build more of these next to each other. And really the only limitation will be the speed of your output. Now, the two things that might be a little different depending on what you're trying to do is this top section and then the bottom section, the input and the output. It really just depends on, like for your output, where you're trying to make the items go and how fast you're trying to unload them. And then for the input, it depends on if you want a single chest or if you want multiple chests. Personally, I like the idea of having a single chest where I can just dump all of these shulkers into a single chest and it will unload them all from there. And so no matter how you're trying to do this, all you really need is one repeater coming off of the main chest that is triggering all of the redstone lamps in the entire system. So if you made a whole row of these shulker unloaders with a single trapped chest, you can just run a repeater, from that trapped chest and then run redstone dust all the way across all of the lamps and it will still work. No matter where your input is, all you have to do is trigger the lamps in order to have the automated start feature. And then for your output, you can either have, chests coming off of each individual cell, or you can have them all running off to a storage system, or you could even have like a minecart underneath these hoppers, for a quadruple speed unloader. It is all totally up to what you're trying to achieve. And you really shouldn't have any shulker boxes trying to escape since they are already directly on top of a hopper when they're being broken. But if you do ever notice that there is some funky nonsense, that the shulker boxes are not going where they're supposed to, you can always box this section in or add hoppers in order to ensure that you catch all of the shulker boxes as they get broken. But again, with unloaders, you shouldn't have this problem. But that's all we got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it made sense. As always, if you have any questions or requests, simply let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to help you out. And if you're not sure how to connect this to a storage system of some kind or to item sorters, you can check out my video guide on how to do that. And that video was actually requested by one of my viewers, and it has inspired me to continue this series on item sorters. I would like to cover all of the different types of loaders and unloaders and multi-item sorters, and just everything about storage systems, because they can be very custom and very hard to explain because they are very custom. So be sure to stay tuned and to let me know if there's anything that you would like to see. I would be more than happy to try to help you out. That's why I actually make these videos, is just to try to help people out. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. It really, really helps out the video, helps out the channel, and it makes me super duper happy. A big shout out to all of my subscribers and all of my supporters. It is because of all of you that I can continue making these videos. So you all make me super duper happy, and I appreciate you a bunch. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, tell me hi in the comments. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to see who made it to the end. But that's all we got, so until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, hopefully teaching you a redstone trick or two. And reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!